everyone who's listening to know that this presentation will be recorded and uploaded to our YouTube channel. The link to the YouTube channel is now posted on the bottom right at the links. So the next presentation is called Funding for Graduate Study and Research, and it will be held by Jessica Matresco, who is an information officer at the German Academic Exchange Service, the DAAD in New York. The DAAD, as I said before, is the world's largest funding organization for the international exchange of students and researchers. And their head office is located in Germany, but they do have an office in New York that supports individuals on all academic levels wanting to go to Germany. In her role, Jessica oversees various marketing and communications projects, including outreach to universities and students across the U.S. The floor is yours, Jessica. Thank you.
Thank you very much for the wonderful introduction, and to the colleagues at the Goethe-Institut for setting this all up for me. I will be talking about the funding opportunities that the DAAD has for graduate studies and for research in Germany. So I will just get started right away. So first, just as an overview of what the DAAD does. Essentially, we provide different scholarships and grants for students, researchers, and faculty members of all disciplines from North America, so both from the United States or Canada, who would like to go over to Germany for some period of time. We also provide information and counseling on studying and research in Germany in general, of course, as well as providing information and counseling on the programs that we provide specifically. And in general, we support German studies in the United States, as well as internationalization of university campuses in Germany. So this will just give you an overlook of the DAAD network worldwide. As was mentioned, I'm located at our regional office in New York. We additionally have an information center in San Francisco to help us out on the West Coast, and an information center in Toronto to help us out in Canada. And we have several regional offices across the world, as well as information centers to help candidates from across the world make their way over to Germany, as well as to support students from Germany who are going around the world. So I hope I don't have to make this case too heavily, considering the fact that you all are already attending this presentation, or this virtual presentation. So I've just listed some of the reasons that you might consider spending some time in Germany. So first of all, the quality of education, or the quality of research that you can conduct in Germany, is very high. The German government puts a lot of money into universities, into research institutions, and supporting different types of research and development on campuses and at advanced research institutions, both for international students as well as students who are in Germany. And this comes at a low cost to you. In general, living costs in Germany tend to be a little bit lower than those in the United States, especially if you're coming from a bigger city like New York or Washington, D.C. But also, for example, the tuition costs at German universities are non-existent, even for international students, except in one state, Baden-Württemberg, where it's 1,500 euros per semester. And typically, you're just on the hook for a couple €100 semester fee. So that's quite a bit cheaper than one might find academic opportunities in the United States. Additionally, going to Germany for any period of time will expose you to the opportunities that are there for you. So making those different connections and different networks on and off campus, and either developing them further if you decide to stay in Germany, or bringing them back with you to the United States. And if you do come back to the United States afterwards, you then have skills and abilities that you gain from your time abroad that will help you further your academic and professional careers here. Of course, for language learning and learning about the culture, there's no better way than to actually be in the country. So your language skills and your intercultural competencies will improve immensely by being in Germany for any type of research or academic stay. And then lastly, again, just the creation of those different networks in Germany that you can bring back with you to the United States. So again, just diving deeper into something that I mentioned before, Germany has an excellent infrastructure for research and development. Again, the German government is putting a lot of money into the different universities, research institutions, of course, companies, big companies like, for example, the automotive companies in Germany are putting a lot of money into research and development. Which means that you'll be able to conduct research at a very high level in Germany. And I will get into kind of the meat of the discussion today. So the opportunities that we at the DAAD have for you to go over to Germany. So in my previous presentation, I went over the opportunities that are available at the undergraduate levels. And if any of you were in that presentation, you'll notice that there is some overlap because a lot of our opportunities are open for undergraduate, graduate, and PhD students. So I'll definitely be specifying the eligibility requirements as much as I can in a short amount of time. So we have funding opportunities, again, for different types of study abroad opportunities, for internships, for thesis research, and for language courses. We do have something for people in every field, and in most cases, a high level of German language skills is not required, but of course that would be advantageous to you even if that's not a requirement just for living in Germany purposes. For our longer term grants and programs, we typically have a monthly stipend that you receive. And for our shorter programs, those that are only a month or two, we typically give a lump sum. And we additionally provide health insurance and travel stipends in most cases, as well as access to our alumni network once you return to the United States and Canada, so you can still be in a nice German-American network on your return. So I have listed all of these by deadlines. This deadline, for example, is today, and some of the other deadlines are coming up very sharply. So even if you can't make it for this year's deadlines, there are definitely things that you can keep in mind for next year or for future years. So this is our German Studies Research Grant, which is for advanced undergraduate students, so juniors and seniors, as well as graduate and PhD students. So this is specifically for those in German studies. So again, those who are either majoring and minoring in German or who are working on a German studies project, essentially anything that has anything to do with German history, politics, economy, linguistics, etc. And we provide funding for up to 2 months to conduct that research in Germany. A lot of people will use it for their theses, for example, like a senior thesis or graduate thesis, or for PhD research. You do need to have at least 2 years of university level German or the equivalent. Again, since you're expected to be conducting that research on a topic related to Germany. And again, we provide a grant to offset the traveling and living costs of conducting that research in Germany. Next, I will talk about our study scholarship for graduate students. So this scholarship is for a master's degree program completed in Germany. We provide funding for up to 2 years of a graduate degree program, and the deadline is November 4th, 2019. So coming up on Monday, and that is for studies that begin in the winter semester of 2020, so October of 2020. You do not need to know German for the scholarship. You only need to know as much German as you would need to complete the graduate degree program in Germany. So for example, if you were looking at English language graduate programs, of which there are many in Germany, then you do not need to know any German for the purposes of our scholarship application. And one thing I would just like to point out, you're actually typically applying for this scholarship before you even apply for the graduate degree programs in Germany. So our deadline is November 4th, 2019. Typically applications are due in by the beginning of the summer 2020. And then you would find out, later, let's say like August 2020, whether or not you've gotten in order to attend in October 2020. So it can be a little bit confusing since you're applying for a scholarship before you've actually applied for the graduate degree programs you're interested in. So that's why it says here that graduating seniors, that's the lowest level that you can be in order to apply, since you'll be graduating in May of 2020. And you don't have to provide proof that you've gone into a university, of course, but you do need to provide a list of universities that you are probably or very interested in applying to in the next year. And for those who are beginning their studies or who have already begun their studies in this October of 2019, you can apply for the November 4th deadline for funding for the second year of your master's degree program. So for this scholarship, we provide a monthly stipend, as well as health insurance, a travel stipend, and a one-off study allowance for the beginning of your master's degree program. And then we also have scholarships for artists and musicians. So this is essentially the same offering as the previous slide, as the study scholarship, but the application process is slightly different for artists and musicians because you have to provide some proof of your work. So any recordings or videos of performances or any portfolios of your pieces that correspond to the fields that you see in the presentation slide right now. And that's also why the deadlines are a little bit different, because all of that work has to go to our office in Germany and is then evaluated by a neutral evaluation body that specializes in those fields. But the same things apply. You get the monthly stipend, the health insurance, the travel stipend, and the one-off study allowance, and we can cover for up to 2 years of a graduate degree program in Germany. Next, we have our research grants. So this is also a November 4th deadline, and we can cover for 1 to 12 months of a research project in Germany. So there are 2 categories: the short term, which is 1 to 6 months, and the long term, which is known on the German website as the 1-year grant, which actually will cover you anywhere from 7 months to 1 full year. You do have to have a degree by the time you begin the research. So if you're a graduating senior, that's the earliest that you can apply for it, but you do need to have at least a bachelor's degree by the time you are starting to conduct the research in Germany. And we provide a monthly stipend, the travel stipend, and the health insurance. As far as subject area goes, it's very flexible. It's pretty much open to all fields, and it's a research project that you design on your own. So it's your responsibility to create the project, to find a professor, university, or institution that's willing to support you and house you during your time, and to get all of your application documents together by November 4th, the deadline. Next, we have a university summer course grant that, again, is for advanced undergraduate students as well as graduate and PhD students. You do need at least an A1 level of German, which is the level of German that's above not knowing any German, so I'm confident that many of you will already meet this requirement. And essentially it is, as the name suggests, a summer course in Germany that's usually 3 to 4 weeks. Most of the courses are language-based until you get to the B2 level of German, and then there are a lot of content-specific courses that you might consider. We have all of the eligible courses listed on our website, and you will essentially select your top 3, and we will try to place you as best we can into one of those 3 programs if you receive the grant in the end. And again, we provide that one-off scholarship payment, the travel allowance with the travel stipend to cover the flight, and health insurance. And that deadline is December 1st, so you still have a month to go. And next, for those of you who might have been in my first presentation, we have a program that's called RISE Germany that's for undergraduates. So this is the graduate and PhD counterpart to that program. It's called RISE Professional. So this program is for master's and PhD students in the STEM fields. and it's an internship that's up to 3 months at a company in Germany. So it's a summer program, so it won't interrupt your normal study period. And again, you're gaining hands-on practical experience with a company in Germany. Most of the opportunities do not require the German language abilities. So again, you don't need to have a high level of German language abilities in order to apply in most cases. And we provide the monthly stipend, health insurance, and travel reimbursement. As well as the opportunity to complete a language course before you start to either get you up to a level that you're comfortable to operate in your day-to-day life in German, or to brush up on the skills that you already have. And that is pretty much everything I have. I can give a few tips for general applications, just for those of you who are considering to apply. The first one is that you should definitely be on time when submitting your application. So the deadline dates typically do not change year to year. Sometimes there'll be one day off. For example, last year the 4th was a Sunday, so the deadline was November 5th, which is a Monday. So the deadlines typically will not fall on a Sunday or on a holiday. So just keep in mind that the deadline dates do not change, especially if you're thinking about these programs, for next year or for following years. The online portal that you have to apply to is very unforgiving when it comes to submissions. So if you do not submit your application on time, the portal will close, and unfortunately there's nothing that we can do to get your application in there in the end. So that's my number one tip. Definitely be on time. And then otherwise, throughout all of the application documents that you'll have to submit, you need to show that you are passionate about being in Germany and about conducting research or doing that internship or doing that language course in Germany. We really want to see that you're passionate about being in Germany and that it's important for you, your future academic and professional career. And yeah, we essentially want you to convince us that we should fund you. So those are the general tips that I have, and now I'm happy to answer any questions or anything like that that anyone might have about DAAD programs.
Thank you so much, Jessica. I think there is one question from our participants, and I'm reading from the chat, is could you break down the funding for the master's program and explain what the one-off tuition means?
So for the master's program, I will say that this is subject to change every year. But for example, the changes in the most recent years is that people got more in their monthly stipend, so that's a positive change. But I can tell you what the funding would be for this next upcoming deadline. So you receive 850 euros per month, and then we completely cover the health insurance. As far as the travel stipend goes, you essentially will get a set amount that should cover a transatlantic flight. The exact amount you get depends on where you're flying from. You'll be provided with the exact documentation and how much money, how much of the lump sum you'll get for your transatlantic flight if you receive the grant in the end. And then that one-off study allowance, essentially, it's a small amount of money that you get at the beginning, the first month of your master's program, which is the first month that you'll be receiving funding to help you, if you need any books or, notebooks or anything like that, just the materials that you need to help get you started. So it's a small additional amount to support you as you're beginning your studies.
Well, thank you so much. And I think you mentioned it in your other presentation, but just could you state again, does one have to be a United States citizen before applying for any of the DAAD program? Or what should this legal status of this person in the United States be?
Yes, so thank you for that question. So unlike a lot of other programs and a lot of other funding agencies, we do not require U.S. or Canadian citizenship. Essentially, you just need to be a student or a researcher or a professor somehow affiliated with a university in the United States. So if you're an international student who is doing your PhD in the United States and you'd like to apply for a research grant to conduct your research project in Germany, you are more than welcome to apply through our office.
Wonderful. Thank you so much. And another question that I had was if someone is considering online distance or part-time studies in Germany, would they be eligible for your scholarships and programs?
So unfortunately, that would make you ineligible. So if you're doing any type of online work or online study program, that would make you ineligible. For example, if you wanted to do a study scholarship that's at a German university that's offering only online courses, we would not be able to fund you for that. And in general, doing any type of online degree program would render you ineligible for most of our programs.
I see. Thank you very much for that answer. We still have about 5 minutes until we begin with the next presentation. So if there is anything else you would like to add about your other programs or other DAAD funding or scholarships, or maybe any other tips for people to who are looking for scholarships, for funding opportunities to go to Germany, that would be great if you could share with us anything else. And in the meantime, a request to the participants, please, if you do have any questions for Jessica, please type them in our chat box. We still have about 5 minutes to answer them all.
Sure. So another tip that we generally, for a lot of our programs, require references. Usually it's just one reference, so that's pretty straightforward and a little bit easier. Essentially, it's a short answer form that your referee has to fill out, and we just recommend that you find a referee that's in your subject area who knows you very well and who is able to speak to your specific qualifications and why you're a good fit for whatever program or research project or whatever it is that you're going to be doing in Germany. And then as far as other funding opportunities, or just in general, if you're looking for information for your specific situation, we definitely recommend that you reach out to our office. So we do provide support and information and counseling for your individual cases as well. So we'll be able to tell you, what you should apply for, what you're qualified for, when deadlines are coming up, provide you information on FAQ sections that will help you as you're filling out all of the application documentation. So in general, we recommend that you do reach out to our office with any questions that you have, or if there's any type of confusion. Especially, we'd rather hear that earlier than later. We get a lot of inquiries, as you might imagine, before our big deadlines, and it's sometimes impossible for us to go through all of the inquiries that we get in time for the application portal, or before the application portal closes. And sorry, I just saw a follow-up question here. So part-time studies in Germany. That would also render you ineligible for our study scholarship, for example. So if you were applying for a part-time degree program in Germany, that would not be eligible for a study scholarship. It should be a full-time in-person degree program in Germany.
And maybe you could address one more question that I'm sure is on many people's mind in a little bit more detail. How competitive are those programs and scholarships in general, or are those rates of applicants and those who are accepted are very specific to a particular program?
So they are specific to particular programs. Unfortunately, I don't have the latest numbers. Our programs have gone through a little bit of a change, and we don't have the latest documentation available, but I would say we have had increasing numbers of students applying over the years. There's a really high demand to go to Germany and to hopefully receive additional funding to supplement the already lower cost of being in Germany. So we are it's not, of course, it's not something like a 1% acceptance rate, but it is getting a little bit more competitive, which is also why, again, I'd recommend that the first thing is submitting your application on time and fully, because if you haven't submitted all of your application documents, or if you've applied for the wrong program or in the wrong way and are deemed ineligible, that's an unfortunate and avoidable situation. So again, I'd like to say, please reach out to us if you have any doubts or any concerns, or if anything that is coming up. Wow, I just lost my train of thought. But yeah, please reach out to our office with any of those concerns. There is a statistics page on the DAAD Germany website that gives you information on the scholars actually all over the world, so that are going to the different regions that we have and who are coming from the different regions going into Germany. So you can see the final numbers there, so who finally got a scholarship in the end, but that doesn't really give you a clear idea of how many people applied. So we're hoping to get more clear information on that sooner, but otherwise, please reach out to us. We can give you FAQ sections, we can give you tips. We're here to support you and make sure that you have the most competitive application.
Thank you so much, Jessica. And again, the website for DAAD in the United States is www.daad.org, isn't it?
Yes.
Sorry for butting in. This is Steffi. I have one more question, actually. I remember when I applied for a scholarship, one of the biggest questions I had was, what are you looking for in the references? So I'm guessing a lot of students, or they will ask people for references, and they might not have written one for a purpose like this before. I know that a lot of, professors and stuff write a lot of references, but could you just briefly say, are you looking more for like personal skills that the professor is going for, or kind of the content base, how that applies for the studies in Germany and how that person is qualified for that?
So it's actually a mix of both, I would say. So we ask that you get a professor in the field that you're specializing in, and ideally you would have built a relationship with this professor through research or through coursework, or some other type of academic activity where you spent a lot of time with this professor, so that person can speak to your academic qualifications. You've taken really advanced courses in, let's say, political science, and the program that you're applying for is the study scholarship to do a graduate degree program in political sciences in Germany. So we want to see that the professor knows you at a very high academic level and can speak to the qualifications that you have that make you a very good fit for the program you're applying for, as well as the personal skills, so like that you're easy to work with, that you work hard, etc. So we want someone that knows you very well and that can speak to both your qualifications for the program that you're applying for, as well as your personal qualifications for general success in life and in Germany. And one thing that I would say to that, so again, I mentioned that the references are usually in a short answer format. We want to see all of that space filled. We definitely don't want to see like one sentence answers. We want to see a lot of details. We want to see a professor that's, that's interested and happy to write this reference for you.
Wonderful. Thank you so much, Jessica. I think now we are officially out of time for your presentation. Again, thank you so much for being here today and providing so much valuable information.